Welcome to the General Secretariat of the Supreme Council of Planning and Development, to the KPPC, Kuwait Public Policy Center. Today, we're gathered here today for a new lecture concerning innovation-driven corporations about the Toyota innovation story. Today, we'll start the lecture with a short statement by His Excellency the Ambassador, and then a short statement by our partners from JICA, and a small brief about our presenter, and we'll dive into the content. So if His Excellency, the Japanese Ambassador to the State of Kuwait, Mr. Takashi Ashiki, can commence his small brief statement.
So, good morning everybody. So, صباح الخير. السيدات والسادة، السلام عليكم. في بداية أود أن أعبر عن سعادتي الغامرة بتواجد معكم اليوم لافتتاح ندوة مؤسسات الابتكارية، حيث أنني شخصياً من أشد معجبين بنموذج تويوتا وفلسفتها في العمل والابتكار. ولا أبالغ بالقول أن تويوتا ألهمت كثير من الشركات في أنحاء العالم وجعلتها تحاول محاكاة أساليبها الفريدة في التسويق والمبيعات وإدارة الموارد البشرية. لقد أسهمت تويوتا في إعادة صياغة وتشكيل صناعة السيارات وحولتها إلى صناعة قائمة على المعرفة والابتكار، وركزت بعبقرية منقطعة النظير على الجانب الغير مادي من الإدارة الذي يتمثل في الثقافة والعلاقات الإنسانية والتواصل. وإن نجاح تويوتا المذهل يقدم رؤوسا مهما يمكن أن يستفيد منهم مختلف فئات القادة ورواد الأعمال في بناء الشركات والمؤسسات الناجحة. واسمحوا لي أن أهنئ الأمانة العامة لمجلس الأعلى للتخطيط والتنمية ووكالة التعاون الدولي اليابانية جايكا وجميع القائمين على الندوة على حسن اختيار موضوعها، والذي يدعم جهود الحكومة الكويتية في تشجيع الشباب على اقتحام مجالات الأعمال المختلفة وخلق أنشطة اقتصادية مستدامة تسهم في تحويل الكويت إلى مركز مالي وتجاري وتتماشى مع ركائز رؤية الكويت 2035. ونحن نفتخر دائما بالعلاقات المتميزة التي تجمع اليابان ودولة الكويت، وما تحقق من إنجازات خلال ما يقرب من 6 عقود لم تتوقف فيها عن تطور وتوسع حتى شملت كافة المجالات والمستويات. ومن قبيل الصدفة أن تكون علاقة دولة الكويت مع شركة تويوتا أقدم من العلاقات الدبلوماسية بين البلدين. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a great honor and pleasure to join this management seminar today. As the Japanese ambassador to the State of Kuwait, I would like to shortly brief you about the bilateral economic relations between Japan and Kuwait. Japan is the third biggest importer of Kuwait crude oil, and Kuwait is the fourth oil exporter to Japan. And moreover, you may of course note that Kuwait imports various Japanese brand products, which are of the highest quality in the world. Japanese cars are the typical example of the Japan's quality product, and especially Toyota is a leading company in the field. I therefore believe today's seminar presented by Mr. Takao Sakai is a great opportunity for all participants to learn Japanese top companies' fundamental management methodology, which Toyota had developed for their successful value and profit creation. I hope this event would contribute to Kuwait's consideration on how to move the country forward to non-oil dependent economy in line with the Kuwait Vision 2035. Finally, I would like to thank again the organizer, and I wish everyone a fruitful and inspiring time. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Your Excellency, for the statement, and thank you on behalf of His Excellency Dr. Khaled, the Secretary General of the Supreme Council of Planning and Development, to warming our relationships with JICA. Now a small brief statement by Mr. Osaki Mitsuhiro from JICA, which is the Japanese International Cooperation Agency. Can you please prepare your statements?
Sabah al-Khair, good morning. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, on behalf of JICA, Japan International Cooperation Agency, I'd like to give you a very short introduction about today's seminar and our cooperation between SCPD and JICA. JICA is a governmental agency for supporting developing countries and for the last half century. We have our office in about 100 countries, and our activities and our size is similar to World Bank and UNDP. And actually, we have many joint projects and mutual cooperation with World Bank and UNDP. And also, we did several project cooperation and training program for Kuwaiti governmental officials until the end of the last century. And recently, Kuwait and Japan restarted discussion of a new framework based on the cooperation between SCPD of Kuwait and JICA of Japan. 50 years ago, our issue is the transfer of technology, but we realized the current challenge of Kuwait is not just technology, but creation of knowledge economy and strengthening of high added value industry. We JICA are considering how we could contribute to Kuwait in this context. And today's seminar by Mr. Takao Sakai will show you our answer. And his lecture will indicate the area of cooperation between Kuwait and Japan in the future. I hope after the seminar, you will have a clear image of a bright future of Kuwait and realize the promising collaboration between Kuwait and Japan. Shukran jazeelan.
Thank you, Mr. Mori, for your dedication and your support for the last 4 years in preparing and supporting JICA and GSSCPD integration. And I think this is the kickoff of our partnership as today we're preparing the KPPC lecture. Without further ado, about the lecture today, it will present the success story behind Toyota and explain how the method of Toyota management is applicable to any company and institution all over the world, especially an institution which seeks innovation and knowledge economy. About the speaker, Mr. Takao Sakai, President at Global Lean Solutions and Global People Solutions, and founder of LeanX. He wrote 2 books, The Age of Talents, Corporate Talent Management, Strategies of Companies That Continue to Win, and The Secret Behind the Success of Toyota. He graduated from the Graduate School of Engineering at the University of Tokyo. He started his own consulting business on talent management, organizational structure for technology companies. Without further ado, let us warmly welcome Mr. Takao.
Thank you very much, everyone, to join my seminar. It is my first time to be in Kuwait, and I'm now really trying to catch up with Kuwait's everything like people and culture and stuff like that. Actually, last year I was invited to Saudi Arabia, Lean Consulting Company, named Folk Principle, which is owned by LJ Abdul Latif Jamil, and I gave a mini lecture to them. And there was Mori-san from JICA, and he heard my seminar, and he realized, this is a high value added knowledge-based value creation system. Actually, Toyota is well known about the Kaizen or Lean or Gemba level management. However, actual Toyota is more like a value creation company based on the knowledge. In the past, like 70 years ago, 80 years ago, there was nothing in the Mikawa area. Toyota was a really pure startup company. They started from zero. No background, no money, and no people. And actually it was Sakichi Toyota who started Toyota Automobile, which was before starting automobile business by his son, Kichiro Toyota. The reason I know about Toyota very well is that my great-grand-uncle, I'm going to explain later today, Dr. Kotaro Honda was a mentor of a founder of the company, Kiichiro Toyota, when Kiichiro started up his own company. And the automobile business was so tough to start up in startup stage. You can imagine like Tesla. Tesla is now struggling very hard. It's a very risky business. And there was no people in there. So when Kiichiro almost gave up his startup, he went to see his mentor, Dr. Honda, to ask whether it is possible to create automotive industry by Japanese hands and brain. And Kiichiro, Dr. Honda said, of course you can. You can create automotive industry by Japanese hands and brain. That was 75 years ago, 80 years ago. Now Toyota is everywhere. I saw many Toyota cars in the Middle East, Kuwait, Saudi Arabia, Dubai. Toyota Corolla, Camry, Crown, Lexus is everywhere in the world. Now they are number one in terms of creating the margin and also the size of the company. They have no debt. So many people are learning how Toyota is successful. However, the thing Toyota has opened up to the outside of Toyota is very tiny portion of it. Very proud of it. So today I'm going to talk about sort of a heart and the brain function of Toyota. Most of the things which is known as Toyota is like if I use a metaphor of a human being, like it's all about the legs or hands or nail or something like that. So today I'm going to talk about what I'm going to talk briefly in the beginning, and the second I'm going to talk about myself a little bit, and then about the Toyota product development system based on the chip engine system. The last year, end of last year, there was an interesting TV program about Toyota, which became really popular in Japan. Brand new building for the fuel cell stack R&D building was just made. And this is brand new fuel cell stack building. And here, they are about to start mass producing the low-cost fuel cell stack. So which become a sort of a substitute of the gasoline, So all the company executive support like Shoichiro Toyota and Takeshu Yamada, who is the chairman of the company, is writing like a future effort and challenge, and they are now working on this. And also they are now working on the battery technology, which is like it's called a solid battery. The current battery system is a liquid, as you know. Do you know the current battery system is a liquid? Lithium battery is a liquid. And they are now trying to develop the solid state battery like this. This is a sheet style battery, and it's going to be installed like this to the car. Why they are doing this? This is Tesla. Actually, Tesla explodes a lot. There are so many incidents like this. Toyota realized this kind of risk back in like 1960s. I know the person who was dedicated his life to the developing the EV, electrical vehicle in the Toyota. And Toyota, of course, understand that the current battery system is quite dangerous. So Toyota keep developing a substitute for that. And this is Terashi-san, who is number 2 person of the company. He is saying like a hydrogen society is going to come. And the tremendous amounts of needs in the world. And we create the cash to invest the creative innovation as much as we can. So there is a people like this inside Toyota. Actually, this is a center of the organization, of the company. And this spirit actually comes from this person, Sakichi Toyota. Toyota's Sakichi Toyota, who started Toyota Oatmeal, which is eventually become Toyota Motor Company. But this guy is, of course, supported by many person. And, to make innovation, it costs a lot of money. So you make money by business, by sales and marketing finance. This is Taizo Ishida, who supported Sakichi Toyota in terms of the business creation. And this person is very well known. Automotive production costs a lot of capital. So a mass production, to create a mass production process with the minimum cost and capital, Taichi Ono had worked on that. Based on those, this person had worked on the innovation. And the Toyota Oatmeal actually covers half size of the market at the time. There was a Pratt company in the UK and the Toyota Oatmeal, and they have split the market. Toyota was actually already a global company before World War II. And this spirit actually, of course, inherited this person, Kiichiro Toyota, who started automobile business. Actually, the Toyota is well known as a lean in the Western culture. And the lean, which is a TPS plus Gemba QC, quality control technique, is known in the West, is actually one of the means to a real end. Real end is actually to make a product innovation, right? And this is a headquarters. Anybody in here have ever been to a Toyota City? Yeah, great. Actually, this is headquarters. And this side is about the product development, the product engineering. This is where the product value creation is made. And product planning, design function, product development department, and the prototyping grant and proving grant, and this is all about the mass production. The people in this side, anybody can get in this side. How about this side? Actually, nobody allowed to enter because this is a secret. This is the heart and the brain function of Toyota. So the Toyota, known as Toyota outside of Toyota, is only this part. So Toyota explained as lean in the West is like this. So now you can imagine the Toyota system from this figure. This is a Toyota product development system, the autumn product development line. And this is production, right? If there is a order from the outside, the factory moves and then everything starts. So if the product is attractive enough, the customer is very willing, happy to buy, right? Willing to make a purchase. So if product in here is really attractive enough, then this TPS system starts working. So if the product is attractive enough, I mean, for example, if you ride in a jet coaster is going up, like climbing up like this, right? So if the potential become higher, then this circulates really fast. The other hand, if the product value is kind of so-so, this circulates slowly because they produce the product only that sell in the market. So if the product is not good enough, this process doesn't exist. This is TPS process, and this is TPD process. But only this process is introduced outside, right? So Abdul Latif Jamil is in here. They are responsible for dealers, support, and also getting information from you guys, and then give a feedback to the design, right? So this process is not known outside of Toyota, but this is exactly what the value creation is. You are maybe going to learn from now on. So this is, you do not have to understand this figure now, but in the end, you can understand. So this is Toyota system. Here's a top-down business strategy function, market research function, product planning from market side, product planning from designing side, engineer side. And here is the R&D system to support this. And here's actually the chief engineers here. And the product's development stage 1 is more like a conceptual design, and the product development stage 2 is more like a detailed design. As for TPS, only here, right? And this process is not known in the West. This is all about the Toyota books available in Japan. Every book is about Toyota, but all the books are about this side. My book is talk about this, write about this, right? Why this process is important? Because the margin contribution in here is much more than TPS make a contribution these days. Actually, more than 95% of margin is created in the product development stage, value creation stage, not in the mass production stage. That is what the Monozukuri is, mass production is now. Think about the developed countries' growing stage. There was a mass production as Ford did in the past, and the mass production by Ford is beat by lean production by Toyota, right? And then these days, lean production and operational excellence has become commodity. So now the things the game has kind of changed. It's become a product economy. So in here, as this, from 1910, the mass production has become started in the US mainly, and that spread everywhere in the world. And the lean production spread to the world and replaced the mass production in the 1950s. And then this lean production even has commoditized these days. So product economy starts in Toyota in 1980, already 40 years ago. In here, what I want to stress is that the product means hardware and or software product, a service and experience, that, the unit, what the people make a purchase and make the P&L. That's a product. And include all intangible and tangibles, right? So in here, this number 3 is exactly the organizational knowledge and the talent-based intangible value creation economy. So it's all about intangible value creation and the people, right? So which side are you going to work on from now on? This side or labor-intensive this side? This side, right? So to make a less oil-dependent economy, I heard you guys' salary is higher. So, of course, this side, right? So this side has become commodity. So you need to understand the mechanism of upper side of the value creation process. This is what I'm going to talking about. How to create the less oil-dependent post-oil economy. But what is the less oil-dependent post-oil economy you need to create? Many people are saying that the value creation, knowledge-based value creation, knowledge economy, but what exactly is? It's very hard to explain, right? How to explain. But Toyota actually has a system for that since back in 1952. That is a chip engineer system based, the product development system based on the chip engineer system. And what it is like to create the economy by knowledge creation. Of course, upper side. And actually, you can choose whatever the option you can make. Old-fashioned economy as the east coast of US. US east coast economy is relatively old-fashioned, right? The other hand, the west coast, like a Google, Apple, Silicon Valley, is a brand new culture, brand new company in the US. They were not major, but they are now major. They are dominating the world. Actually, what is important in here is that a company like a Google and Apple are using this very similar kind of system with Toyota. Actually, they have learned from a Toyota product development system, which is called, academically, heavyweight product management system. And now the system is called the product manager, and the Google CEO is former head of the product management team, right? So today I'm going to talking about this kind of a thing. So instead of MBAs and the Western consulting firms, I think I'm now recommending the Western people to learn about the value creation system of Toyota, Google, Apple, and Silicon Valley instead of old-fashioned MBAs. So why you need to learn from Toyota? Because knowledge-based value creation is out of scope of the business school. Business school never teaches how to create the value, you know? It's very irony, but this is true. So they don't know anything about this. So what is important here as well is that the digital industry, maybe many of people in here might have heard about Agile, Scrum. Have you ever heard of Agile, Scrum? Agile, Scrum, Lean, Kanban. Actually, all those are derived from Toyota Way. But the important thing is here is that the Lean Digital is derived from this side, not value creation side. So that makes a lot of confusion these days, especially in the people in the Silicon Valley. So here's like this: Agile, Scrum, Kanban, Lean Software, Lean Startup, Lean Canvas. Actually, all those are from the TPS rather than TPD. So that makes confusion. As for this side, design thinking is actually derived from here, as I'm going to talk today, and heavyweight product manager, entrepreneurial system designer, set-based concurrent engineering, and also a trade-off curves. Such kind of techniques are said to derive from a TPD, but this is not exactly right. So that is why I'm talking to people in the world these days. And from now, I'm going to talk about the normal seminar I'm making in every place I go. How the original Toyota management system works to create multiple value and profit. This is all about the value creation of the company. So actually, Toyota is located in the Mikawa area, and I'm a Japanese, but my ancestor has lived in Mikawa area more than 1,000 years. So this is Mikawa, is one of the oldest place in this country. And our nature is kind of a bit different from other Japanese. Very aggressive, and likes to go outside to the country. So some French people who is well-known lean consultant in the France said Mikawa people are too aggressive. So he's a little bit worried about that, but that's us. So this is my book. The first one is The Age of Talent. This is about the planning, design, quality, and the talent capability of the people side of the Toyota product development system. And the second book is the secret behind the success of Toyota. Actually, after I wrote this, my first book, I realized that the TPD system itself is not known well because the first book explains by making an example of the Toyota chief engineer system. And this book has become bestseller in Japan for several months, and this book has become English, and you can make purchase in Amazon.com, and bestseller in the US. And as I mentioned, in the Agile world, my book is very well cited. And maybe some of you here might have heard of Jeff Sutherland, who studied Scrum, who learned by a TPS. Cited my book in here, but his understanding is not that accurate so far. So we are now talking about this. And for example, I'm going to talk in the event like this. This is a lean product process and development conference, and many of the American companies joined here. And here's a software. Interesting thing is here's a software company called IOBEA. OBEA is a big room, Japanese term, and OBEA management system is also an interesting management technique to align the top vision of the company to the from product to the gemba. So this is an Intel presentation, and the Western Digital is talking about this. This is IOBEA, and here's the people from Harley-Davidson who try to learn the lean product development, which is an imitation of a Toyota product development system. And actually, everybody came here to learn about how the Toyota creates the actual value. So I'm now kind of a sensei to teaching here. This is in Texas. Many people are joining my presentation. And here's a steel case. Anybody here know steel case? Yeah, great. Steel case is very well known as very well. So design thinking. Actually, Steelcase is the first company to invest the IDEO, that is known as a design consulting firm. And actually, they are located in Michigan. They learned a lot from Toyota because, company in the Michigan, like a Ford and GM and the Chrysler, is beaten by a Japanese automobile manufacturing company, right? They had many people who's been research for that. And this is one of the person who studied design thinking, saying like this. When Japanese university professor from Keio went to study to this person, he said like this: why Japanese came to learn from us? We've learned from Japanese automotive company. Why you, Keio University professor, came to learn from us? So originally it's us, right? So this is a Steelcase and IDEO. And this is in UK. This person is Daniel Jones, who is one of the person who coined the term lean, like this. This is Womack and Jones. Anybody here have ever read this book, The Machine That Changed the World? Oh, excellent. So this book is firstly defined lean and coined the term lean. I met everybody, and Jones keep asking, and keep sending an email, and asking what really Toyota is. Still they do not get how the system works. And this is John Krafchick. Now he's the head of Waymo, of a Google autonomous drive company. Actually, he is the person who coined the term lean agile, fragile. He was actually in the team of the research of Toyota back in 1980s with Womack and Jones to write the book, The Machine That Changed the World. Actually, he is a really excellent person. And here, in the book, Womack and Jones couldn't use the name of Toyota, so they asked John to come up with some good name to express a Toyota. And he came up with the words like lean, agile, fragile. And lean is used for hardware industry, and agile is used for software industry. And this is Dr. Leiker in the Michigan University. Maybe you might have read this book, The Toyota Way. And this is his student, Mike Roller, value stream mapping. They have defined, try to explain about how the Toyota's production system is. But they have actually no idea about the value creation system at all. So they are asking myself. This is a French consultant known, very well known in France, Michael Barret. Anybody has ever met Michael Barret? Somebody has studied in France. So Michael Barret is a well-known lean consultant. He came to Tokyo to learn from myself. And this is a consultant who is studying the lean product development for quite a long time. This lady is chief engineer of Pratt & Whitney, that engine company in France, in the US. And this is Chalmers University's professors in Sweden. And this person actually is from the GE, who had worked on the lean in the General Electric for more than 35 years. But he said it didn't work well. And this is pictures of my seminar. I made a keynote presentation last year in Paris. And this person is quite smart guy from Airbus. He is a chief engineer of some Airbus major product. They are learning from Toyota Way how to create the value itself. Then why I know about Toyota, as I explained, the person standing next to Einstein is my great-grand uncle. He is a Dr. Honda. So as I explained, the Dr. Honda was a mentor of Kiichiro Toyota. So when he was almost gave up to start up an industry, Dr. Honda helped the Kiichiro Toyota. So and also he sent many of his advisors and colleagues to the early stage of the Toyota. So my whole family is people related to this state, to these people. So this is what the Honda said. Yes, of course you can. We can create the automotive industry by Japanese hands and brain. When Kiichiro was really struggling to create prototyping, and he sent many of his advisors and colleagues. And here's what the JICA want to add in here. Yes, of course you can. We can create a knowledge-based industry by creating hands and brain, right? Creative people can generate anything by unleashing the talent of the creative people. You can create any sort of a knowledge-based industry. There is a methodology, and you have a people. I believe you must have a great education system. So in the end, you can do this. Why people in the world is researching Toyota? Because Toyota generates a result. Toyota generated 260 billion revenue, 20 billion profit, and 80% of sales are from overseas. And here's important, 65% of production is outside of Japan. They are no longer made in Japan. Made in Japan used to be very famous, right? But now, people in the world is assembled the Toyota car. So they are no longer made in Japan company. 9 billion R&D investment. And what is important here is Toyota has zero liability. No company but Toyota and Apple has this. So this is very important. And Toyota's target in 2020 will be like this, 2070, and 85% sales should be from overseas, 70% production is from outside. So in the past, Toyota is very well researched because of the result and how they were explained. They were explained like this. Toyota was TPS plus Gemba QC, and Womack and Jones named this as a classic lean. And this concept has derived in many variety of ways, such as lean thinking, Agile Scrum Kanban. This is very popular in the digital industry these days. Lean startup. This is very famous in the startup community. Lean Canvas, made by Stanford professors. And heavyweight product management, Kano model, design thinking. And in GE, the Lean Startup and the Lean Startup is renamed to FastWorks, and the Six Sigma is very well known. But you can see the result of the GE. Now GE is very close to be bankrupted after, learning the lean stuff. What's going on? GE had fell apart, close to be bankrupted. Why? What is the root cause then? This concept, Toyota is TPS Gemba QC, was not correct. Okay? So Toyota's mass production factory is TPS plus Gemba QC. So this is lean. So this is okay. Then what is a real Toyota then? Toyota is a TPD plus TPS plus Toyota's TQC, Ishikawa Asaka's TQC. This is their system. It's Toyota is TPD plus TPS Toyota QQC. And what is TPD then? TPD is product development based on the chip engineering system. This is product management system. And the TPS is, of course, JIT and Jidoka, just-in-time and Jidoka. Just-in-time Jidoka is very well known, right, by Taicho's book. Ishikawa Sensei, and this is the person who created the chip engineering system. This is Tatsuo Hasegawa, and the Ono is very well known outside of Japan. And here's Toyota's total management system, as I explained. top business strategy is breakdown to here, and the market information is gathered, R&D information, chief engineer is here, conceptual design, detailed design, and then after that, production starts. So, chief engineer actually covers everything, and this function is actually very, very important for the value creation. But this process is not known very well. And this is a Walmart's explanation about Toyota, who coined the term lean, one of the members to coin the term lean. There's a top management, chief engineer, and only mass production gemba. But of course, this is not right. So they are just explaining a part of the total value creating system. There's a lean term called Hoshin Kanri, and the Hoshin Kanri from top to the mass production gemba, but actually this is not correct. Hoshin goes to everywhere. Some consultants explain like this, but of course it's not correct. And as I explained, Toyota's headquarters is like this. TPD is the east side of National Route 248, and the west side is TPS. And you can understand this process has exported to everywhere in the world. But Toyota still keeps this function in Toyota City, Aichi Prefecture, right? And there's a know-how like this. You know Taichi Ono and Kikuo Suzuma Fujiocho, and you must know this kind of a system. If you ask the lean consultant, anybody will know. Kanban, Andon, Tanoko, and if you ask a Toyota, most of the people answer will be like this. But there's a system like this. Choose a system, Toyota target costing, and management, product OBEA, product development QC, SC engineering, front loading. And here, have you ever heard of Kenya Nakamura? Taichi Ono is very famous, right? Have anybody heard of the Kenya Nakamura? Kenya Nakamura is the first chief engineer who created the Japan-made car, Crown. And Tatsuo Hasegawa is a Corolla chief who created the Corolla brand. Akira Wada produced a variety of cars, such as Supra. And Ichiro Suzuki. Have you ever heard of Ichiro Suzuki? When I ask this question to the US people ask like, I know Ichiro Suzuki, two Ichiro Suzuki. The first one is a major league, Ichiro Suzuki, and the second one is a Lexus chief engineer, Ichiro Suzuki. He's a super engineer in here. And this function is very important. And this side is very well studied, as I explained. The other hand, this side, many people had studied, but still, it's not right. There was a scholar in Michigan University and MIT called Alan Ward, Dewar Sobek, and Jim Morgan was used to work in Ford, and Kim Clark in Harvard University, Harvard Business School. They studied a lot, but actually their content was, from our point of view, not right. So that is why still the competitor of Toyota cannot catch up with Toyota in terms of creating the margin. So this is called LPD. Again, this process is important because they create more than 95% of the margin here. The other hand, this side, contribution to the margin has become really low these days. What is doing this process? This process is creating the duplication process with the minimum cost and capital. And this process creates a one of a kind of the product, right? So what is the TPD role then? TPD role is to make the merchantability that the customer is willing to buy, at the same time create enough margin of the product. But in 1970s, the things was different. Still, this process contributed to margin quite a lot. There was a time to invest to the production engineering at the time. Still, this process contributes creating the revenue and profit a lot. This side contributes 50%. But in 2017, this become 1 to 5%, and this side has become more than 95%. So this side is important. Even company like a Toyota, they started from this side, west side, but then they migrate the business more on the knowledge creation side, from a production side to knowledge creation side. That's what they did in the past. Again, the book is like this. and the margin contribution had changed. In Toyota, it was 1970s. In a company like a Honda and a Nissan, maybe the thing is that the game has changed, like 1980 or 1985 or something like that. Then in the digital industry, many agile in Scrum Kanban thing is derived from this side, so it's a problem. And also this side is not known well. So many of the people think like a value creation industry should be the digital industry. However, just the digital is a tool to create the value. So and also besides, all those techniques are derived from this side, so sometimes it's not appropriate, right? And here I summarize the industry growth migration. Now we are talking about creating artifacts or design object, right? So back in the 18th century and 19th century, we created by hands. So everything starts from the craftsman. And in Japanese, we call KKD, which is a Keiken Kandokyo, which is experience, inspiration, and the college, and create something. And of course, the work was a labor work, right? Repetitive routine work. And then people like Frederick Winslow Taylor, Ford, Durant, Ono came, and mass production starts. And the technology is mainly for mass production. So this is about duplication of the product, right? So production management technique is developed, and the production technology is developed, and this is all about the duplication quality. So that is why the Deming's production quality or statistical QC was important, right? So they deal with the variability, and this is sort of an industrial revolution. This is sort of used to be called industrialization. The countries who has mastered this is called the developed country in the past. And this is all about the process innovation of duplication, and the labor analysis was labor analysis for operational job. So this is a competition of a duplication capability. However, now we are working on like this to make one of a kind that will be duplicated by market demand. We need to create a value here to duplicate the product. So design by considering the duplication capability and the cost. So this is about product development, product engineering, and planning quality. Actually, there's a concept in different meaning in terms of quality, planning quality and design quality. This is all about the value creation and the profit creation. This is product process innovation. Japan made lots of Japan made a lot of economical growth by this Made in Japan. Made in Japan strategy was all about this. Japanese people back in 1950, 1960, 1970s did a great job on this. But now factory went outside of Japan. So now we have to focus on this. Toyota have been working on this since 1952. So that is why they are still very strong. And then, as you know, globalization and informatization, knowledge industry emerges, knowledge economy, and knowledge-based society is emerging these days. This is all about this side, right? So designed in Japan, or maybe designed in Kuwait, right? So in the lean industry, we call this a value creation lean, as they call this value mapping lean. Value is created here, value should be mapped in here, right? And the labor analysis, of course, should be made by information and knowledge work. This is more like a labor, task management. On the other hand, this side is more like intangible job, intangible work. Labor should be analyzed, intangible. And in IT field, this side is, as you might interest, I'm not sure whether you're interested or not, but this is a CAD, computer-aided design, computer-aided engineering, simulation. Now these are called virtual engineering. Before actually creating, you can create in a computer. And this model-based development is started in Toyota back in 1980. So they have actually a long history of a digital manufacturing technology. Digital twin concept is actually nothing new at all. If you read my book, you know that digital twin concept already realized in Toyota back in late 1970s. This side is computer-aided manufacturing. And in the past, information between this side is exchanged by face-to-face communication. But of course, these are now shared by relational database, right? That is called the product data management, product lifecycle management, PLM. Then how about university? In American university and European university, they have a faculty for this. That is called industrial engineering, right? The other hand, this side deals with the design methodology and knowledge engineering and artifact study and art. Actually, does not exist any university who teaches this. In America, there's no university who teaches this side. In Japan, actually, there's nothing as well. So what I want to suggest is, why don't you create one in here to lead other country, if possible. I'm very happy to share my knowledge with you guys if you're willing to learn. So this is value creation was scaling in the world. This is what the people are doing. And this side is called monozukuri in Japanese, and this is a value mapping link, and it's all about tangible and intangible link. And duplicate product as minimum cost and capital. That's the purpose of this process. On the other hand, this is more like an intangible world, kotozukuri in Japanese, experience design, value creation, link, and the world of intangibles, and the information, knowledge, intangible work, labor, and the hataraki is the performance, and the organization knowledge accumulation, talent and capability development for creation and innovation in here. The output is, of course, the value of information asset, intangible asset in here. So intangible assets, quality of product and process and people. So process is, of course, intangible. And even the product is becoming intangible, right? Well, the product, like automotive product, it's a hardware, but actually it's integrated in a digital data, like digital twin. So even the hardware become intangible there these days. So when I saw a friend in Saudi Arabia, in Dubai yesterday, 2 days ago, he was saying like all the Saudization was about this process. But he said it's not a good idea. The new Saudization should be like this, unleashing the Saudi talent. I said, like, yeah, of course, yeah, you guys are already expensive, so of course you need to do this. And when the post-oil economy. So you guys also the better do. How about Kuwait? Unleashing a Kuwait people talent, capability. So that's the direction to go, right? If you want to create a knowledge-based value creation economy. So even in the Japanese company, most of the company did this side in a great job, such as Panasonic and Sony and whatever, but as for this side, many of the companies just started. Toyota was actually very exceptional among all the Japanese companies. Most of the company did the made in Japan strategy pretty well, but as for this side, company like Panasonic has just started. So the competition has just started. The opportunity is for everybody. So for example, in the Silicon Valley, they are only working on this side, right? To make one of a kind. And the product value creation, that creates demand for duplication. In the software industry, there's no process of duplication. In the cloud service, how many times you access the cloud service and how many times you use, that is about the duplication, right? So they don't have this process at all. So in this process, the product management or chief engineer system is very important. It's a system to create the value in this side. But the chief engineer system is kind of hard to explain. And it's all about intangibles, intangible process and the people, accumulating knowledge in the organization. You need to figure out the way to how to accumulate the knowledge in the inside of organization. So it's hard to transplant the way Toyota has to other companies. But companies like Google, Apple, they tried hard. And some company was really successful to transplant the way. Maybe some former Toyota guys, I think, cooperate with that. But they mastered this way, understand the concept of this. It's very hard. So today I have just 1 hour, but I think it's going to take at least a day to explain the whole system. And, that's a challenge for everybody. And there are many Toyota study derivative like this, but these guys are not so much right. And for example, let me explain about a little bit about chief engineer system now. Company sets, of course, the ideal states, which direction you want to go. For example, you guys want to make a post-oil economy or less dependent oil economy. And this is a current state. And you put resource, tangible and intangible, to here, right? To reach to the ideal state. So ideal state, for example, in Toyota, is break down into the each product. Lexus product, Corolla product, Camry product, Prius product. And each product has the CEO. That's the chief engineer, mini CEO, product president. He has a P&L responsibility, even if he or she is a chief engineer. Right? Engineer has a responsibility on P&L. And the product value, if the product value and the customer value matches, you can set the price higher, right? If the product is something you really want to buy, you can set the price higher. And then the market decide the price. And in Toyota, as for the profit, company requires as a requirement, company sets that goal, how much you need to make for the margin. And the cost is, of course, plus minus planned profit. So all you have to manage is about the cost. So PMF comes first, product market fit comes first, and then profit is given from the top. So all you have to do is to manage the cost. So there's sales retail price, and as you may know, it's minus, right? Target profit is minus, target cost is, SG&A is minus, and the target production cost is minus. And, but reality is always like this. There's a portion like this. You need to work on something. How do you do this? Either you increase the price by creating more value of the product, or lower the cost. So there are many business cases that how Toyota did for the cost cutting. However, this side is more important. How to create more value for the customer. If you create more value, you can sell higher price. So, who take initiative of all these activities? Chief engineer. Shusa is a chief engineer. Chief engineer is the president of his product, and the corporate president role takes a role of helping all the Shusas, or the chief engineers. And this concept has become very well studied, not precisely understood, but there are many derivatives of the chief engineer. Shusa is the chief engineer and the product president, which is called mini CEO in the Silicon Valley. Entrepreneurial system designer, that is what the lean product development people calls. Heavyweight product manager, what the Harvard Business School professor calls, and PM in the Silicon Valley, trying to articulate the Shusa function. And the chief engineer is all the center in all the functions, right? And he take all the initiative to create the value, to increase the value of the product or lower the cost. And of course, chief engineer is center in every organization. But what is understood that the chief engineer system is only this. So for example, Scrum doesn't work well. So does become a problem these days, right? So the history, in terms of history, Toyota was like this. In the 1950s, TPS and also Toyota Product Development System exists since 1952. And then TQC had been introduced in 1960s. And of course, this side, TPS Gang of QC, known as Lean. And this side, Product Development QC is introduced as well. And then from 1960s, there are many engineering technologies are introduced in the company. As for this side, production engineering has been introduced with the JIT and Judoka concept. They brought, of course, lots of engineering, production engineering machines, and also product engineering this side. And as for IT, they already have SMS, specification management system, assembly line control in the factory, and also a CAD, CAE, in-house CAD system, and the CAE system is developed, and the product data management is developed in-house as well. And then there are many variety of other techniques developed since 1970s. And IT is sophisticated, and production engineering is matured. But all the people know about Toyota is only this, just in a Kaizen, in a Gemba level. So some consultants or some professors are saying that if you keep on doing a Kaizen level, you can go to heaven. Of course not. There's a system for this. And what I want to suggest to you guys is to learn this. Firstly, people need to understand there exists this kind of system, right? So there's a corporate level of the system, and then corporate level target is deployed to a product service experience level, and then Gemba level. So this three-tier system is a Toyota system. So here's a corporate executive level, and here's a product president, mini CEO level, and there's each Gemba level, right? This is a Mount Fuji. If you are in here, if you're in the top of the mountain, you can see everywhere, right? The other hand, if you are in here, you can see the other side of the mountain. So of course there's a function in here. There's where the chief engineer is. And somebody has to take full responsibility of the value and cost of the product. So that is a real leader in today's value creation. So firstly, you need to understand about the system itself, and then next step is to nurture the talent, someone who can do the chief engineer or product management. It's like a mini CEO of the product, someone who takes full responsibility of the product itself. So this bottom-up approach, like Kaizen, and then also maybe you can start from a Kaizen level, but at the same time, you can learn top-down approach of the Toyota way. This is what is not known well. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Sakai, for a very interesting presentation about Toyota Management Innovation Systems. We'll open the floor to questions. Please present your name and your entity. First question.
I'm Yusuf Mustafa, Under Secretary of Tourism Sector,
Okay.
Ministry of Information. I prefer speaking in Arabic. It's my language.
Okay.
أولا شكرا ل how can he yes
Okay.
شكرا للمحاضرة القيمة.
You're welcome.
الفيصل في العملية هي الثقة.
Yes.
أنا أعتقد لكي تحافظ تويوتا على المصداقية يجب أن تعزز ثقة المستهلك الكويتي.
Yes.
هم في النهاية يأتون لتسويق نجاحات تويوتا على المستوى العالمي. صحيح؟ نحن في الكويت نعشق الصناعة اليابانية، ويمكن معظم الحضور هنا في هذه القاعة من جيلي ربينا على استخدام الأجهزة اليابانية، إن كان على مستوى السيارات أو على مستوى الأجهزة الكهربائية، وكلنا يذكر ناشونال، باناسونيك، سوني.
Yes.
في نطاق عندما تحدث عن الاقتصاد المعرفي، نحن نقول بأن المجتمع الكويتي 70% منه هو شباب. نحن نريد أن نعزز هذه الثقافة، هي ثقافة المحافظة على المنتج الياباني كما يريدون هم.
Okay.
علينا ألا نقلل من التنين الصيني. التنين الصيني، الصين دخلت اليوم بقوة كبيرة جدا في صناعة السيارات، وبرفاهية قد تكون أعلى، وبأسعار تنافسية وتفاضلية قد تكون لصالح المنتج الصيني وحتى المنتج الكوري. كوريا غزت أيضا ونافست تويوتا في السوق الخليجي.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
الآن نحن بحاجة حتى تحافظ شركة تويوتا على ثقة المستهلك الخليجي بصفة عامة والكويتي بصفة خاصة
Yes.
أن تجعله في مأمن من أن يحافظ على ثقته حتى تتواصل هذه الثقة معه من
Yes.
جيل إلى جيل.
Yes, definitely.
Right?
Yeah, yeah.
هذا هو التحدي الكبير أمام تويوتا.
Yes.
لا أحد يعلم من يعني اليوم عندما نذهب إلى معرض للسيارات نلاحظ حتى السيارة اليابانية لا تصنع، لم تعد تصنع بشكلها الكلي في اليابان. تايوان، ماليزيا، كوريا، هنا قلت نسبة ثقة المستهلك الكويتي في تويوتا بصفة خاصة. وأنا أتحدث لأن أنا أراقب وأتحدث بلسان حال كثير ممن وثقوا في تويوتا عبر الجيل أكثر من 50 عام، وحتى في نظرة الشباب الذين يسعون اليوم إلى الرفاهية وإلى التطلع إلى التقنية العالية التي تربطهم بالمستقبل. وهذا أعتقد أن تويوتا محتاجة إلى أن تعزز هذا الجانب في هذا المجال. استوقفتني كلمة سعادة السفير عندما قال أن علاقات الكويت مع تويوتا امتدت لأكثر من علاقاتها الدبلوماسية ما بين اليابان وما بين. هذا هو التحدي الكبير.
Yeah, sure.
اليوم
Definitely.
السوق الخليجي سوق شبابي، كيف تحافظون على الثقة الكبيرة لتويوتا بمختلف تصنيفاتها، هو هذا التحدي الذي يجب أن يكون أمامكم. تحدثنا عن القيمة وتحدثنا عن السعر. اليوم القيمة هي يجب أن تكون العنوان الرئيسي. شكرا.
Okay. Yes. Thank you very much.
Next
Interesting
question.
Whoa.
Okay, name's Mike Wood, now engineering consultant, now retired. I'd like to thank the SCPD for putting on this event and for Toyota for performing. A couple of issues though. The first one is Toyota, you have described a mixture of knowledge creation, innovation and production.
Right.
Kuwait's problem is entirely different. Kuwait has got to start. We do not know what the product is. We have got to think of what the
Right,
product is.
exactly.
So the emphasis is entirely on creativity.
Yeah.
Now, if we talk about Toyota, you've described the value of the knowledge-based economy in Toyota's progress and status. And I'd suggest to you that Toyota is like all the other car manufacturers. What they've done is they've benefited from reverse engineering across the market, and Toyota's success at the moment is based on cars like the Camry. What you're selling is a functional car, medium technology, manufactured at high quality. Therefore, it's the advantage of the knowledge economy is quite small. If you think of the knowledge economy benefit in the Toyota picture, all of the alternatives to hydrocarbon fuel are uncertain. Batteries are uncertain, fuel cells are too expensive. The hydrogen economy is infrastructurally impractical.
Yeah.
So really, Toyota is a case of practical development of production
Exactly.
technology. And now you're in real trouble competing with South Korea and your neighbors in China.
Right.
Would you like to comment on that?
Yeah. So Chinese manufacturing company and Korea manufacturing companies catching up quite first, right? And they took reverse engineering strategy as most of the Japanese car company had in 1950s. But after 1960s, or technically from 1952, Toyota had started building own design car, not buying a license from outside, right? So, for example, the design quality I described in here is very important. For example, Toyota car is very well known of the durability, right? Durability is actually designed in the TPD side, not in the production side, right? And also the cost structure, actually they worked on very hard for technology development for the lowering the cost. For example, the slide I showed in the first page, that the hydrogen vehicle, is that now the price is high, right? The technology already made. However, the price is high. So what they are working on right now is how to reduce the cost of the hydrogen vehicle. So as you say, it is completely right that the product concept is not understood well in most of the countries yet. For example, even in the Japanese company like Matsushita, Panasonic, and maybe Sharp, they are now owned by Taiwanese companies. They do not understand the product concept very much. So what I want to stress in here is that I didn't mention much about the chief engineer system today. However, the chief engineer is an engineer. Engineer becomes a product person. So a product person takes full responsibility for the value for the customer and the value for the people to use in your place. At the same time, he takes a responsibility for generating enough profit so that the company can survive in a competition, right? So chief engineer lead the direction, the technology, which direction the technology should go, and also what is, he said, the ideal state of the cost structure to become a product that's sell in the market in the end. So hydrogen vehicle is already available, but still expensive for most of the people. Now what they're trying to work on right now is that to create a hydrogen vehicle with the same price range of the Corolla, Camry. So that's sort of innovation, right? That's also included innovation, right? Then the game gonna change. Other company hasn't invested much about the hydrogen and the solid state batteries. And as you remember that the Prius, that the hybrid engine system, they use the battery technology and also a really complex system management software technology. That is, they're all made. So original cars. Ford tried to catch up. GM even tried to catch up, still can't. And Toyota produced the EVs in 1960s, but they understand it, which is really risky. In a security standard, it doesn't become a consumer product. That is why they decided not to sell in the market. But they have a technology. That is why they already got the battery management system for the Prius, which is really safe. And also, in Toyota's security standard, they never sell the car like Tesla, because still that's more like experimental product. It's more like prototype, right? It's a cool, but. So chief engineer takes full responsibility for people who use the product, and also at the same time of the profit of the company. So only engineers who understand the product, the value itself, and technology that realize that can do a chief engineer.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
My name is Abdulaziz Al Sirri from Industrial Company.
Mhm.
I have a question. If the experiment of Toyota, they have made it somewhere else, not in Japan, would it be the same successful, you think?
For example, a company like a Google, actually they have a similar kind of system for
Who's that?
validation.
Who's that?
Google.
Google.
Yeah. Their chief engineer system is called a heavyweight product management system. But you know, heavyweight is something weird, right? So they just call it as a product management.
Okay.
And the product management is the most respected job in the US West Coast right now. Most highly paid job,
I
because
see.
which is a mini CEO. And it is said like a proving ground for the startup CEO in the company. So a venture capital company find a great product manager to invest. So either in the hardware or software, you can transplant the chief engineer system. And if the product is really complex, like an automotive product, it's going to be a little bit hard. But however, the software is quite simple compared to the product, the automotive product. So it's easy to transplant. So my concern is that this system requires many professionals and specialists,
Yeah.
right? So this is an organization, and here's mini CEOs, chief engineers, right? This looks like a matrix, but a little bit different. And these guys are also quite highly educated knowledge person, specialists and professionals. And among these people are selected. So if you have enough number of educated people in this country, it's relatively easy to transplant because I know how. But as for the people, it takes time, right?
You need the preparation.
Yeah. So if we have highly educated professionals in engineering and the marketing and every division, it would be relatively easier because it's all about the system of the business process.
I see.
But people takes time.
Takes time.
Yeah. How about the people in your country?
Well, need times. Preparation.
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 But even if it takes 10 years,
20.
but China, think about China.
China,
China didn't have many
No, they
educated
started
people.
50 years ago, China also. Almost. They had a vision, I think.
Yeah, they had a
Anyway,
vision, and
I have
they
another
are,
question. So-
yeah, very interesting question. They have a vision, and they are smart people. They have a smart people.
Yes, they
The
are.
number of the population is
Yeah.
huge, right, in
Yes.
China.
Yes, sir.
So that means like number of the excellent engineers population is also really high, and also they hire many Japanese people for their companies.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes, yes. Well, they believed also in China and Taiwan. They believe in the technical educations.
Yes.
Unfortunately, this part of the world, they don't have that.
Why not?
I don't know. It's too complicated to explain here.
But yeah, technology is really makes the strong GDPs.
Yes,
So I really recommend that nurturing the
Yeah.
engineering talent and the product talent. If you want to create a knowledge-based value creation
Yeah.
economy.
You have to prepare
Yeah.
the people. So.
Yes.
The second question, why not some other Japanese company did not follow Toyota philosophy?
People outside of Japan knows Toyota pretty well because Toyota sells their cars in the world. But Toyota was a pure startup, no backup from the government, and actually no name in the past. So as you might know the Japanese history, Japan was like really bureaucratic, old-fashioned, really conservative culture. So still, people respect the name rather than the actual capability. So Japanese old-fashioned people respect the Mitsubishi. They had lasted like 150 years or something. And it's like a zaibatsu, right? Mitsubishi Hitachi.
Yes.
So yeah,
I mean, Nissan had
So-
a problem 10 years ago to find a person,
right. Yeah, that's a very typical case, as you say. So that means like it's a very strange thing, but no Japanese try to learn from Toyota. Rather, the people in the U.S., Europe, really
Yeah.
want to know.
Yes.
So what I found out after I published my book is that all the Toyota books well-known Toyota books are written in the U.S. But right after I published the book in Japanese, all those professors contacted me like, Sakai-san, I heard your name and what your book all about. And I went to see Dr. Laika in Michigan, Womack and John Shug, and Michael Barre, and everyone in Europe. And next month I'm going to go to Norway to talk in a Lean conference. So that means like people outside of Japan had studied the real Toyota. But what I'm saying to the Japanese people right now is that why don't you learn from Toyota product development? Because the company like Panasonic, Sony, lost the power, right, to produce the attractive product to sell to the world, because they still stick to the mass production. They believe that the labor-intensive mass production generates the value, but Japanese people's salary become really high these days, so it doesn't generate any competitive advantage. So only Toyota understood this. However, many of the companies like Hitachi, Mitsubishi, Panasonic didn't understand well. I keep saying that in Japan as well.
Is the culture of Japan as a shame or to ask, to find out?
To find out what?
To find out whatever Toyota has.
Just as he told me that the product concept is, I would say, difficult to understand for everyone
I see.
because the product is intangible, right? And most of the people I met in Japan cannot distinguish the difference between the product and the engineering. Even if the engineering is great, even if it's a great innovation, if it become a product, you cannot make a purchase. That does mean that that does not become a revenue of the company. So understanding the relationship between the product and the engineering is very important. However, most of the engineers in Japan cannot understand this. Toyota has a system to make the people working there to understand that, because chief engineer is really respected. Everybody, they took a HR policy so that everybody feel like in the future I want to be like a chief engineer. So they study engineering hard. They study several domains of engineering, and then, it's a sort of a HR system or career design system in the company.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Going back to the main theme that was talked about by Jaido, gentlemen and so on, and the whole purpose of this presentation is to try to materialize the strategy which Kuwait is aiming toward. Now, and that is moving towards a knowledge-based society, diversify the economy. Now, if a good start must be from products that we are already very well familiar with.
Yes.
So in this respect, the concentration with regard to the product development
Yeah.
should be on things that the society is already very strong
Yeah.
with. And the strongest thing we have is the oil production industry, oil refining, and some petrochemicals.
Right.
So could that be the base of where, in your opinion, that the country should focus on and work from that to diversify into new venues of economy? Because we have a base of very good engineers, very good management, okay, that has been running this part of the economy quite well. There are, of course, other ones involving banking and investments and
right.
so on.
Yes.
So
Definitely. Yeah.
what's your opinion? What
Great
should
question.
the country be focusing on specifically that would really emphasize that part of the
Yeah.
east part of the...
I think it's a great idea to focus on the strengths of the country. The strengths mean the accumulation of the knowledge in the past, from the past to the present, right? So, for example, if you have a strength in the oil industry, oil engineering, you must have people who is working on this that industry, right? So, my question is, how much is the percentage of the Kuwaiti people and foreign people who is working on that? For example, we learned a lot from Europe in the Meiji Restoration, right? So we were Edo. We had an Edo era. My ancestor wears kimono and wearing the sword, and we didn't have any Western knowledge. But right after Meiji Restoration, we learned a lot. We hired many Englishmen, German, and French people, and we absorbed the knowledge, right? And by doing that, we made a talent who understand the Western knowledge, right? To catch up first. So that was catching up strategy. But, in the end, we no longer need the foreigner to start doing something new. So my question is that, for example, in the oil industry, how much is the percentage of the Kuwaiti people and the people come from outside? So many people are working in. Okay, then you already got enough talent, right? 50% is enough. So maybe you can sophisticate the knowledge in that domain, and then you can make that the value as a product and export to the outside. For example, I'm going to go Norway, as I said. They also have an oil economy, right? But the company I'm going to talk in April is that the oil-related machinery company. They got a know-how to find the oil mine, So they got accumulation of knowledge, and they are, of course, providing service in Norway and North Europe. At the same time, they sell their product to the world. So by taking advantage of your strengths you have already developed, you can, sell the value you have created in Quito to outside. That is how you can create the value from outside, besides oil. What do you think? I need to know more about your country first.
دكتور محمد الخشتي Ministry of Health. The first point is how much is being spent on the research out of the total outcome, if there is any
Research.
research, yeah. The second point, it is a nice idea of this TPD and TPS.
Yes.
I think we need the TPD, and we need somebody who's creative to be in that part.
Yes.
It is a good idea of the CE system. I don't know how we can do it, but I think it is a good idea. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so TPD and TPS system is actually one system. So only TPS system is taught outside, but TPS exists only if TPD exists, because TPD creates the product that sells. The TPS sells. TPS just do produce the product when customer want to make a purchase, right? So TPD and TPS is one set. So I firstly recommend to learn TPS, and then, if you have a factory or operation, you can learn lean first, which is known well in the West, and then move to TPD study. And as for the research, it costs a lot of money, So to start generating a revenue, it takes time. That means a cost, right? So they have a unique system for that. I named it a lean R&D. So Toyota has a quite unique system. Company like Toyota that makes 260 billion US dollars only spend $9 billion US dollars for R&D. Company like Huawei spends 2 times than Toyota, right? But from our point of view, that R&D activity is kind of inefficient. So there are lots of muda. There's a lot of waste. Yeah, so the chief engineer system and the R&D system is quite well combined. So that's an interesting system for this as well. But, again, it takes several days to teach about that, the whole system. So maybe if we have a next chance, I'm very happy to talk about that kind of a connection of R&D function, chief engineer system, market research, conceptual design, and the financial aspects. So they have an interesting system for that.
Last question, gentleman in the last row.
Thank you. Riyad Busbes, Khabir Tali. Thank you for your presentation. Your presentation was very interesting. I was trying to understand the most, and I understand a little bit. I just want to ask you a question related to education,
Yes,
since it is the foundation of every development.
exactly.
Can you extrapolate what you did in Toyota in matter of general policies in education system that will allow to create your concepts as in research and development
Right.
for industries?
Yeah,
Thank
that's
you
a
very
very interesting question, an important question. As he asked, the product makes the value, right? Value and the profit for the company. So all the employees' activity need to be connected to somehow to the final product. So as you may know, Toyota gives training for PDCA, plan, do, check, action, like a QC cycle training. But that means like your activity always need to be purposeful. The purposeful means your work need to be related to either increase the value of the product or reducing the cost. That means creating a margin. Any activities in any division in the companies should be related to either increase the value of the product or lower the cost. So, everybody is educated in the universities, like at University of Tokyo, University of Keio, and they got a basic knowledge to understand what is written as a standard document inside of the company, right? But what you're expected to do inside a company is to understand the standard document of the past, accumulate your knowledge, and then add more value based on that. That the value means either increase the value of the product in the end or lower the cost in the end. Yeah. So sometimes R&D people lose the focus, right? Because the technology is interesting. So the job itself tend to become a hobby. Oh, this is interesting. So we're going to go this direction. However, there's no destination. Toyota's system never allows to do that. Always, when you spend the money for research and development, they always ask, they have a standard procedure to check whether this activity increases the value of the product in the end, like in 5 years or 10 years or maybe 30 years, or reducing the cost. Yeah. So that's the system. So people are trained since they joined to the company as a freshman, like that way. So that is how they use the people.
Thank you, Mr. Sakai. If Your Excellency maybe have a small statement to finalize, or are you done? Thank you, Mr. Sakai, Mr. Mori, and Your Excellency Ambassador to Kuwait, Japan. Thank you, your audience, and I think we'll resume the session now. You're more than welcome to help yourself to the buffet outside. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Mr. Sakai.